good evening and welcome. Who washes your wounds with a used Brillo pad and gives you toxoplasmosis, but also folds your towels and keeps them nice and warm on a Thursday night? It's the Thursday Night Crew from ASTV, the Thursday Night podcast from American Scouser TV. Having a good week this week, we are, boys. We are into the final of a cup, which is what you want. You always want that. And then we have a cup game coming up against Norwich, as they say here, but Norwich, if you're over there, which we also can be happy possibly about having a Uruguayan playing in, because the Uruguayans seem to do very well against Norwich. So we have that to look forward to, but also the emergence and maturity of our kids as part of the team. So a lot to talk about tonight. We're joined by Trevor and Brian, as always. Trevor, how are you?
Hitting the normal cliche of hanging in there.
Like a plant. Let's not mention the plant. Brian, how are you?
Doing fantastic.
So let's look at our lineup for our show tonight. We're going to talk about, just in general, the fans at Liverpool, the support and the team as well. We're talking about Curtis Jones tonight as well, because he's been mooted for England and well-deserved, I think, and needs a bit more exposure. We'll talk about the FA Cup game and the Uruguayan connection, and then we'll have the nonsense at the end for the threshold question. Alan says, greetings from Houston, and hello to Alan, as always. Thanks for joining us. So we'll start with the first one. And it's basically inspired by this little banner here. Imagine being us. We've spoken on this show before, at least, about how nobody has given us a chance. We're not a pretty team this season, but we're an incredibly effective one. We are the mentality monsters. We do seem to come back when we need to come back. And the only thing that's stopped us so far has been ridiculous VAR decisions against Spurs and just bad refereeing in general. But other than that, all things being equal, we've given teams games, and we've made teams that would have formerly have been the kingpins change their entire plan to stop us from playing. And we've done that without having our best team on the field almost for much of the season. Trevor, imagine being us. What is the secret, do you think?
It feels pretty good. It feels pretty good to be a Liverpool fan this year. It's one of those things where you kind of have those ebbs and flows where you don't want to get too high, thinking that everything's going to just keep going as good as it is, because once you get that level of complacency, even as a fan, that's when the things, even the slightest misstep comes crashing down so much harder. But I think this team has incredible resiliency. I think it's shown over and over again how many times that it's like, oh man, he's hurt. He's not going to be able to play. Oh man, they're on such good form. And every single time they've come to our house, or we've gone to them, and we've made teams pay for taking us lightly. And it feels good. And I hope not, when everybody comes back eventually, that we don't forget about the people that kind of filled those gaps. We're still able in enough competitions to give guys like Gomez and give kids like Bradley and Harvey Elliott more opportunities to kind of just keep themselves in a rhythm. So if injuries come back later in the year, they're not left out in the cold for so long that they feel, I don't know, just neglected. I won't want anybody that is part of this team at any point to feel as if they don't matter to what this team is doing.
Brian, there's been a lot of little YouTube shorts and videos all over that they definitely came onto my feed because I was looking at one or two of them, but it seems to be that there's a lot more of professionals in the game, from Pep Guardiola and Alex Ferguson to the current Liverpool players and past Liverpool players and past opponents, talking about the atmosphere at Anfield. Now, us Liverpool fans, and especially ones that are in the stadium, may occasionally criticize the mood. But in general, when the going gets tough, the Liverpool fans really do get going, and they are almost the 12th man this season, aren't they? 12th person.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that you've seen. I mean, I've heard some moments right there where we had a little bit of quietness and a little bit ebb in the flow right there this season, but for the most part, right there, the 12th man has been definitely showed up in our matches. It seems like this, like Trevor was saying, this has been a pretty good year to be a Liverpool supporter. I mean, we walked into the season. I was like, just as long as we are competitive right there, brand new midfield, I mean, things are happening. Let's see how it happens. But to be competing on four fronts right now, and already one's a cup final coming up. I mean, how good can you get? I mean, it's kept the Man United supporters at my work quiet. It's kept the Barcelona supporter at my work quiet. I mean, so it's been great. It's been fantastic. The poor Sheffield United supporter at my work right there, he left right there, but he was quiet anyway, but but it's been great. I think that kind of feed off of what Kazi said yesterday, after the post match, the squad is like act right now. I mean, we haven't had this type of depth since like he said, since 2001. I mean, we're having kids coming in to semifinals. I mean, who would have thought Owen Beck and coming in and and having Luke Chambers has played already this season. I mean, you've got Bobby Clark playing. You got Kwanzaa right there, who's actually becoming almost like a part of the first team squad. I mean, would you ever expected this like the beginning of the season? I mean, everybody was basically once our back line kind of went down. Everyone was like, oh, dude, what's going to happen? Okay, how are we going to go out there and compensate for this? Oh, Robbo went down. How are we going to compensate for this? Trent went down. How are we going to compensate? These guys have just come up and they just fought. They've turned into a unit. And I mean, how we got to be absolutely proud of these guys right there for how they fought to be active in four finals right now.
Trevor, you talked about and Brian has talked about there the kids coming in, and we've done such a great job, and as important as it is to blood the kids, so to speak, they haven't looked like they weren't senior professionals in any situation whatsoever. They have looked ready to play and maybe just lacking experience, which is just to be fair. But I want to show both of you something that came up on BBC Football in their text report of the game yesterday. Liverpool have the strength and depth to making 191 changes to their starting 11 in all competitions this season, 56 more than any other Premier League club. It's an incredible statistic, number one. But number two, we're in Europe. We're in a cup final. We could be into the next round of another cup, and we're top of the league. That really is the definition of strength and depth, not just in terms of numbers in the same way that City might have strength and depth, but in terms of the manner of the coach and that the players that are sitting on the sidelines or playing in the academy are getting to be ready in order to play in the first team.
Yeah, it's a blend of a lot of things when you have all that. Because, yeah, we are in Europe, but we're in the Europa League. So that is just naturally going to have a lot of B team feels for at least half the group stage games, and we knew that going in. But with the amount of injuries and the amount of stuff that we've had to rotate through the festive fixtures, like every team has to do every year, the fact, like you say, that these kids are coming up from the academy, that they were instilled with the confidence to come up and not be scared of the situation. And the fact that the coaching staff were not going to overwhelm them with the responsibilities, but knew they could give them enough that they were going to come in and be able to do a job. And Kwanzaa has been an absolute revelation. As we've talked across all these platforms, he's going to save us an absolute buttload of money this summer and not having to go splurge for a center back when Matip sets his Cameroonian sails. The fact that we had both our starting and backup left back go out with and thankfully it's no lower body injuries with either of them. But you had a guy in Gomez that kind of just worked his way across the back line like he was doing those weird like early ESPN2 exercises from like 1997 where the people were on the ski shit. I can't remember what it's called, and it's gonna really piss me off. I'm probably gonna look at the one of it's not the Nordic track because that goes this way, but whatever the slalom one was or whatever it was, I'm gonna look it up afterwards because it's gonna bother me if I can't remember it. But it's one of those things where we didn't have these expectations coming in. We always thought it was like, oh, it's brand new midfield, so they may take a bit of time to get acclimated, but they'll hit the ground running because they're talented players. And we had faith in the coaching staff to kind of put guys in the best position to succeed, even though a lot of us had our trepidations about Trent doing the inverted right back role and how without our super defensive guys like Hendo and Fabinho there, who would go there and fill that gap because McAllister kind of doesn't do that. It's all kind of worked out with everything. And now it's something where we're just kind of spoiled for choice. Whoever we put in there, we know that they're going to be ready, they're going to be willing, and they're just going to be given opportunities to succeed. And it feels good. It feels good to see these kids and these veterans just mesh well together and succeed.
Brian, when we won the Champions League, we had been in the Champions League final the year before and lost to Real Madrid. So there was an air of expectation about progression. We got there. Maybe the next time we get there, we're going to win it. When we won the league, we had just won the Champions League. So there was, again, an air of progression about that team. We're going to take the next step up. This team, we were all talking about, if we could break into the top four, it's been a good season. If we could get one of the cups, it's been a good season. But so far, it's gone beyond expectations for us. My personal feeling is it almost reminds me of the 2013-2014 season in that nobody expected that team to challenge for the league. And it was an exciting ride all the way because you thought we could do it, but we couldn't do it. But we could do it, but we probably couldn't do it. And this team this season has that same feel for me. Is there a level of excitement about this team because it's such an unknown quantity that may not have existed if we were in the same positions, but we had Milner and Henderson and maybe even Gini, Wijnaldum still with us and Thiago fit and healthy and Bobby and Mane still with us? Would it be more? Would that have been a more, this is the last hurrah and we hope they win it, as opposed to this, which to me, every game is exciting. I just want to see more and more of what these players can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's like an era. It's like an era of freshness right there to think about. That these guys are here. We've already seen that midfield, those forwards right there lift the trophy up, lift the Champions League up. We've already seen them win everything that they could possibly win. To have it pass down to Trent or have it pass down to this brand new midfield and see how they work, and to know that this is just the beginning. I mean, it's very exciting. It kind of reminds me a little bit of the 2005 run right there. Those guys didn't have anything to build off of, and that was pretty much of like a team that nobody expected. I mean, yeah, we didn't do that well in the league, but but that Champions League run was fantastic. I mean, I just hope we don't have a heartbreak, that kind of like a type of final right there where I feel like I'm going to die and cry and everything else that happened in that final. But I mean, I think that like Trevor was saying right there, this whole mesh that we've had right there between the senior squad and the academy, and I think a lot of it goes back to what we were talking about last week, having the academy and everybody go together versus how it used to be broken up between the academy and Melwood right there. I think that we've created a more cohesive unit right there, where these guys are able to see, these kids are able to see the senior squad play. They know a distance. They know what's going to happen in front of them. They're all playing the same way. They're all trained the same way. They all do everything the same way there. And that creates, that creates a unit. And I think that's what we got right now. We have people that we can put in places, and that was listen to one of the podcasts earlier today. With this squad right there, we can plug and play. I mean, you lose Mo Salah, you put Diaz there. You lose Endo, we put McAllister there. You lose Thiago, you go there. Or what did we ever Thiago? Never mind. But you lose people, lose a player. You just plug a player back into that spot, and you let them play. I mean, it's a system, and that's what these guys are doing. They're playing a system, and we're not relying on any big names at the moment either. It's just, except for, I mean, Mo, you can say is a big name, but Mo's not here. But all these guys out there are all combined and working as a team, and that's what that's fantastic. This is what we wanted. It's the things that we strive to, as a football supporter right there, is to see your team go and play as a team.
Trevor, we could say almost that Arsenal has the same sort of blend of experience and inexperience in their particular team. They do have a lot of young players, but there doesn't seem to be a robustness or a hardiness or maybe even a winning mentality about that Arsenal team than there seems to be about ours. The Lego head Arsenal team seems to be all about the pretty passes and let's just play technical. It's a very Arsene Wenger-like team more than a Pep Guardiola team, where the principle of how you play is more important than the success you get. But it reminds me a little bit of the Leeds team of the 70s without the dirtiness, which is essentially, if you want to play football on the ground, we'll play football on the ground. But if you want to go into a fight, we have players that can fight. Is there a difference about our kids and about our team that is just not replicated anywhere else in the Premier League, except for maybe the likes of Brighton, which don't have the resources, but definitely have the fighting spirit?
Yeah, and I think the stark difference between our youth and veteran blend in Arsenal's is from a leadership perspective. People don't want to put a lot of stake in Virgil van Dijk as a captain, but he's a guy that you can see if you've fucked up, he's going to stare daggers through you, and you're going to make sure you don't do it again. I don't know a single person on Arsenal that is intimidated by Martin Odegaard in any way, shape, or form. There's no accountability. So you see plenty of times where guys will get the ball and try it, and they'll look for a cutting pass, and then just nothing's there, and then they throw their hands up, and then Arteta throws his hands up, and then they pass the ball back, and the guy throws his hands up because why are you passing the ball back to me? And then there's 2 minutes of play that went down with people just yelling at each other, and then they just recycle it through, and then somebody has a disagreement again, and you're going, oh, we're just going to do this on the left side this time. And there's nobody there to like put out a fire. And I think we have a lot of guys that could start fires potentially. We have some very combustible elements in our side. Curtis Jones, Darwin Nunez, guys that are not afraid to get in a scrap if somebody wants to chat shit. But we have a lot of guys both on the sideline and in the back line that can put out those fires. And yeah, everybody wants to bring up Virgil's little tirade before. Even the best firefighters fuck up sometimes. So we'll put that in its own pocket. I really think that there's an accountability problem with a lot of these teams that are trying to do what we do. And I like the Brighton example. It's just something where if they had their youth movement with like better veterans, I think they would be there. It's just, yeah, like I said, a matter of resources.
I think if you think about the comparison with Martin Odegaard, he kind of looks like the kid, Brian, who gets put in charge of the class while the teacher has to go to the bathroom down the hall. Whereas, if it came down to it, if Curtis Jones had to take the armband, he looks, even facially, like he'll rip your eyeballs out if you give him any sort of grief. But other than that, he's a nice guy. He's almost like a Sopranos character. He'll smile at you, but he's got a knife behind his back, and he's going to do something vicious if you get on his bad side. But there is that sort of menace to our team, isn't there? Even for the kids, they just look like they can handle themselves. If it came down to having to, step up, which it sounds like stupid toxic masculinity, but there is that kind of thing in sports where there might be, a clearing of the bleachers or the, what do you call it, whatever it is in baseball, the dugout, whatever, and you have to stand up and be counted for your team, regardless of what sport you are. But our players look like they're ready for a fist fight if needed, but they're just so good on the ball, and they're such a team that they don't need to do that. In terms of the team of Imagine being us, for us Liverpool fans, and compared to like United fans or compared to the Arsenal fans, it must be hugely encouraging to see that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, because I can just go back and and look at, for instance, look at Bruno Fernandes right there, crying every single time that happens to the cohesion with that side right there. Again, it goes back to like I was saying right there. We're a unit, and I don't see that thing with there. I mean, and I think that with Arsenal. Arsenal misses a level head, a old head that squad. I think that party came there and gave that to them a little bit, but since he's been injured, that kind of like killed a lot of their like actual maturity in that on that side. But with United, there is no maturity right now. I mean, you can say McTominay, maybe a maturity right there. I mean, but they don't play as a team, and you can see that right there. I mean, you can see the up and down. You can see one week they're playing well, the next week their heads are down. You put a fucking goal against them right there, their heads go down right off the bat. They don't fight. They have no fight. I mean, and that's the one thing with us. A fight. I mean, how many times have we been down in the first half, and then also you turn it back around in the second half? It's like, what the fuck? It's like it's like either like Klopp could put a foot up everybody's butt and say, hey, get out there and play, or that these guys say, hey, okay, well, we went one goal down, we'll get them, we're okay. And next thing you know, that I mean, you put on a damn show, and I mean, even against this past weekend, I mean, you saw that first half was dismal. I mean, and then the second half is like, who are these guys? Why did they come up with for the beginning? And and it's like, and I think that everybody was. It's like you never give up on this side right now, and I think that these guys right there probably have that same feeling amongst each other. They're not giving up on each other, and I think that's again, it's great to be us.
I deliberately steered the conversation to that one particular player because he's been literally making a name for himself, which is not difficult because he has a very simple name. But our man Curtis Jones, he's just been a revelation this season. We've all had the conversations, as always, as we do with young players. Are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? I mean, Dominic Solanke is only making it now. At Bournemouth, Harry Wilson he was touted, and I certainly loved looking at him play when he was in the under 21s and all that during the Rodgers era, but he just didn't quite have what it takes to be a top level player. But he's having a good career, and he's definitely a good player where he is. But Curtis Jones just seems to he seemed to find not one gear but 5 gears between now and like the middle of last season. Trevor, are we looking at the future of Liverpool's midfield right there, or is this just lightning in a bottle in terms of the season he's having?
I don't think it's lightning in a bottle, but I don't think he is like a generational talent, as some people want to make him out to be. But that's not in my way of saying like he's a bum or anything. You got to have those guys that are those engine guys. I think he is somebody that should be playing every game he's available for us, just because of the things that he does that, and it seems like such a hacky cliche thing, the things that don't show up on the stat sheet. But it for him, that is such a big crux of what he does. And it is also his biggest just eye test improvement. The past couple of years when we'd all get pissed off at him is because he tried to do these fucking Anthony stepovers, and then he'd get the ball taken off him. He'd do a front flip, yell at the ref for a foul, not get back, and then the team would score. And you'd be like, oh God, he's so immature. He can't do this. He's trying to make the highlight reel every single time he gets the ball. And I don't know who got to him. I don't know what coach flicked that switch in his head, but now he's all about being just thoughtful with the ball. And it seems so bland to say, but it's not always having to make that just absolutely last ditch cutting pass to a guy behind the line. Being okay with taking the dreaded sideways pass, but also when you see your opportunity, not being scared about a criticism if that through ball gets picked up by the goalie or gets taken by a center back. He doesn't really let those things affect him anymore, and he just makes his decisions in a moment rather than having a bunch of good or bad ones pile up on him. I love what he's doing in the midfield. I'm just hoping that his good run right now doesn't raise expectations of him to an untenable level.
Brian, Alan mentions Graham Souness there, and I'm old enough and supported Liverpool for long enough to have watched Graham Souness play. The memory, which I think might be a slightly false one, would be of a silky smooth midfielder who happened to be hard as nails as well. But he wasn't, I don't remember him being that like Iniesta like or anything, or Xavi like. He was like more like a Roy Keane. He was a very tough player. You wouldn't want to cross him, and he could put a pass or two together that would make you go, ooh, that was nice. But in general, he kept the game simple. Alan says that's the kind of player we are missing. Is Curtis Jones capable of providing that in the future? Or is that kind of player gone from the game?
I mean, I don't think that type of player is gone from the game. I think that you still have some. I mean, I'm even going to say there's like elements of that in a lot of different players. Kevin De Bruyne right there has a little bit of an element of that, of the simplicity of the game. Even, I mean, I hate to say it, but even Phil Foden has a little bit of that same type of element to him. I mean, it's just a different type of game now. I think that Curtis Jones definitely has that ability, but kind of like at the second what Trevor said right there, I just don't want anybody who actually have ultimate high expectations upon him that it overwhelms him as a player than what he really is going to make as his career. I mean, because do I think that Curtis Jones frustrating the shit out of me like that, the past couple of seasons. Again, like Trevor said right there, the maturity thing, step overs, the thing, and and I appreciate whoever put the arm around him and told him, hey, you don't need this shit in your game right there. I mean, definitely appreciate that, but I don't think that Curtis Jones is the end all be all of our midfield. I mean, I think that is he going to be an asset to us? Absolutely. Is he going to be that superstar that's going to go through that's going to be consistently there? No, I don't think he is. I think he's going to be part of that team, and I don't think this team right there, the work ethic of this team doesn't have superstars, and I think that's what we have to get back into the mindset right there of there. Graham Souness was from an era right there where you had that he was simplicity, hard as nails. But as a superstar right there, we don't need superstars right now. I mean, I think that we just need team. We just need a team. And I think that's what we got right now. And I think that, I think all these players right there have those elements in them of the Sodas, the Gerard elements, the Shabby elements. I mean, we've seen players do these all sorts of little things of all the players that we in the midfields that we've talked about for years and years. Different players have all those aspects because they learn that way now. I think that that just like you're gonna have it like everybody was comparing last year, with what we had in midfield as far as okay, well you're changing the guard now. Bajatek is going to come over there, is going to take over. He's the next Iniesta. He's the next this and all that. Let players be players. We can't really throw names out anymore. Let them be their themselves.
What will we argue about on the internet if we just let the players be players, Brian? You're not thinking this through. Here's the question I want to ask both of you. I got to Trevor first, and Brian, if you have input as well, we go for that too. Curtis Jones for England, Trevor. I don't particularly care about the England team insofar as if there's Liverpool players there, I want them to do well and not get injured. But outside of that, obviously being Irish, I couldn't care less about them. But is Curtis Jones knocking on the door for England, Trevor and Brian, or is it that Gareth Southgate's a complete moron and he should be playing him right now and building some of his midfield around what Curtis Jones can do and also around what Jude Bellingham can do for the future?
I think Southgate is a guy that has had Harry Kane bail him out of a lot of his poor roster construction decisions. The saga with Trent with all the right backs, not giving Curtis Jones even a spot on a bench or a rogue cap here or there is criminal, given how some of the people in that midfield are out of form or were coming into camp injured. Literally going, all right, I got selected, but I'm not going to play, right? And still Curtis couldn't get a sniff, even when at the end of last year he was just crushing it and he was beating some of the best England had to offer in so many metrics in the run-in last season. But I don't think there's going to be any change to the ways of how Southgate runs his things. Any screaming that we do about advocating for Curtis or Trent is going to fall on deaf ears. So I'm not even gonna bother. Would it be nice to see him get his just due for what he's done for his club, for his country? Yes, it would. Will he probably get a shot in earnest? Probably not, which kind of sucks.
Brian, in terms of, I think Trevor's right. Like, you want to see them do well and you want to see the players at Liverpool progress into their national teams. But cynically, if Trent continues to be ignored by Southgate and Curtis Jones doesn't get the chance his league play probably deserves, are we a happier fan base for that?
Southgate is Greg Berhalter with English talent. That's all I can say right there. There is no difference right there between the two. Both have no innovation. Both have to rely completely on the same exact boring ass system that they play right there. And and do I think that that Curtis deserves a shot? Will he probably get a shot? Probably not, because Southgate's going to play the same boring ass shit that he plays right there that Greg Berhalter plays. But I don't watch international football anymore. Right there bores me. It's like I don't see the gelling of it right there. And the only thing I hope right there is that if Trent's involved and if Curtis Jones is involved, that they don't become back hurt. That's all I care about. That's my ultimate goal, that they're fit to play for Liverpool. As far as I'm concerned, I think that these footballers play far too many matches now. There's just a whole entire different topic right there, about these frivolous international conference league cup, whatever you want to call them, or league play that they have. I mean, it's got ridiculous now. I mean, let these guys get some rest. You're killing off the generation of talent by overplaying them.
So in terms of, it's nice little segue for me, Brian, there in terms of overplaying. Obviously, the more games you play in the season, the harder it is on your squad, but it also means the further you're getting in a number of competitions. And this Saturday, we get to go into another one. Norwich City against Liverpool in the FA Cup. We're into one final. Technically, a quadruple is still on. Trevor, do we take this cup a little bit more seriously to try and maintain that momentum, or do we continue with the plan of the early rounds of like playing even maybe like the likes of Cade Gordon in the lineup? And Norwich are a mid-table championship team, so they should be able to handle them. Or our dreams of the quadruple that we could possibly do, are they just that? They're just dreams, and we would rather win the big one and not risk any kind of injuries or absences for the players we already have that aren't injured right now.
Yeah, I think we were talking over the Arsenal game that we wanted to see a lot of kids integrated into that, because as much as the FA Cup still has that charm for a lot of people, and the quadruple means a lot in recent Liverpool fans' minds. That this is the one that we could kind of neglect a bit, because with the Carabao Cup, at that point we were in semifinal territory, and now we're in the final. In Europa League, we're in the knockouts, and we're getting through that group pretty easily, and we're at the top of the league. Norwich, I think right now this is a perfect time to get, if you want to get Robbo his first game out there, if you want to just keep Gomez in the lineup, just wherever you want to put him, I don't care. Put him up front. I don't give a fuck. Put Gomez at striker so we can finally get that goal and we can stop this whole narrative. His wife can get that blank check from Klopp or whatever that promise was, and we can just kind of be done with that. He can have his highlight reel. It can get watched on YouTube. That goal can get watched on YouTube like 5 million times or something. They'll push it out on all the social media shit. This is one that I think it's not that you don't want to take it seriously, but it is something that you can experiment with this game. You can trot out as many kids as you want. Have fun with it. And if it comes to 70 minutes and it's 0-0, throw on Darwin and Gakpo and Diaz and see if they can ransack a mid-table championship team and give them Luis Suarez PTSD.
Brian, Klopp he has confirmed essentially Kelleher will play in the final of the Carabao Cup. But for this game, in this round, does Kelleher maintain his place? Does Alisson get back into the number one spot? Or does Adrian make an appearance and get some game time this season in this round against this particular opponent?
I was thinking about that earlier right there, because I was wondering whether we need to go up there play Ali just to keep him warm, just to keep him, because that's one of the worst things to do is to keep a keeper out, to chill a keeper out. So by keeping it, but of course we have another match coming up on Tuesday, correct? Is our next match. So, I mean, I think it's Tuesday that we play next, but for him to go out there and actually to have, you just don't want to go out there and have him iced. I think that, depending on what the next match is with there, I have to play Ali with there. Adrian's not going to play for us again. I think Adrian's just that stopgap kind of keeper that's going to be there, just to make sure that everything is good. But that's about it. As far as like this lineup right there, I mean, like kind of like what Trevor said, I think we got to have a good mix, of kids, through there, and also a mix of like senior players. I say come there, put out Nunez, but put a Luis Suarez mask on his face, and just watch watch Norwich cringe and just like run out the stadium anyway. And so I mean we could do that, but yeah, I think that we gotta go about this the same way we went about the earlier rounds of the cup. Play kids, sprinkle on some seniors, but in the big fold right there, this is at the bottom of the pile for me right there. I mean, it goes right there. We have a final that we're good with, but I mean, Europa and the league take more priority.
I just checked there. We played Chelsea on Wednesday, so that's a big game. So it probably, I would imagine, won't be Allison in goal for this round. It probably might be Callagher again, but we'd like to say, Adrian, to make an appearance this season. But in terms of the scoreline, I know Trevor's ambivalent about it, but number one, do you hope we win? And number two, what do you think the score will be, regardless of whether you think we're going to or not? Trevor, and then Brian.
I think even with a just absolute just mishmash of youth and I'd love to see Rocky's wife get in there for actually throw her in goal. That would be entertaining.
No. She is the most depressing movie character in any movie or TV show she's ever been in.
It's the only way.
Cannot go anywhere
it's
near.
The only way Norwich is going to feel like they have a chance. They're going to come in feeling like Charlie Brown that just got the football pulled away from him again every time they see the red shirts. So they maybe, just give them that sense of hope. Either way, I'll say 2-1, just because it's Norwich City, and I just, even the biggest pessimist in me can't pick even our C team to lose to Norwich.
Brian, what do you think is going to be? Are you ambivalent about the game, or do you want to win it? Do you want to go as far in this contest as possible? And then, what do you think the score will be?
I want to win it. I mean, I want us to win every match that we play right there. But I mean, if it happens right there that we don't win, and toward the end right there, so be it right there. Again, that like I said, that big focus on there. But I think that our squad has enough right there to get past them, and I think we have enough in our squad to get past them pretty well. I'm going to go for a 3-0. I think that we have enough firepower with us, and I think that we're going to have a right sprinkle of midfield in there. I think we're fine. I think that that we're gonna go out to win this. Klopp's not gonna go there and just like lay down a side that he doesn't think he can't win. And I think that that he's gonna play a good side. I mean, there'll be some rotation. I mean, in there, I think that Robbo will play, but I think that Robbo is only going to play a minimal part of this match, maybe a 30-minute showing or something like that, just to get a run out. But I think that that eyes on the prize right there. Right there. Wednesday comes, we're at Chelsea.
There's a clip going around on like the TikToks and the reels and the shorts, etc. And it's of our Thursday night favorite topic, Darwin Núñez at 17 years old for Penarol, I think. And he scores a world-class goal from outside of the box. But he is also noticeably 1.5 foot taller than everybody else on the field, which also goes back to my early season point that if Darwin Núñez wasn't so tall, he may not have made it or been spotted as a professional player. Because that just happens when you're a tall player. But he was a tall player who was apparently very, very good as a teenager. So with that being said, and it's Norwich, I'm going to go 5-1 and 4 goals for Darwin Núñez if he starts. That's my prediction for the weekend. Somebody has to torment Norwich in this life or the next, and it's going to be a Uruguayan. So,
absolutely.
So with that being said, here's the moral dilemma for tonight for both of you. It's not a tricky one tonight. It's not a funny one. It's a simple one. If you're guaranteed, the magic wizard of soccer comes down and guarantees that you can either win the Carabao Cup or you can win the FA Cup, but you can't win both. Trevor, which one would you prefer to win?
At this stage of the game, I'm gonna take the Carabao Cup. It's the lesser of the two, but it's got the less hurdles to get there. I don't care about the magical guarantee. It's something where that guarantee doesn't come with extra injuries from extra games. The genie, all those wishes, always comes with hang-ups and hiccups, and the less of those in my life, the better.
Brian, what do you think?
I'm like the second on Trevor on that right there. Like you said right there, this G is like you get a wish right there that says, okay, you're going to win this, but what the hell am I losing? You know, and again, with the FA Cup right there, you have all these matches ahead right there full of injuries that could possibly happen. Got one match, you know, give me that one match, give me that one win. Hey, and plus also, we're the record holders for the Carabao Cup anyway. So, I mean, so we'll just keep on keeping our record up. So, yeah, League Cup.
And that genie is 100% going to make Talia Shire be in goal for a game as a condition of the wish, which is going to just ruin everything for everybody.
No, because what will happen right there? Well, Paul Tierney will be our official for like the entire run going into the FA Cup. And
I'd be more impressed with the genie if he makes Thiago fit and able to play. That'd be more impressive to me. But I would normally go for the FA Cup, but I would go for the Carabao Cup simply because for this team, getting over that hurdle of the very first trophy, this close to being put together as a team, with all the injuries we've had, I think would be a huge psychological boost for all of the players, and will probably end up with us leading in the real world to getting as close to winning the FA Cup as well as we could possibly get. Alan says he'll take the Carabao Cup and the Europa Cup. He's just being greedy there. The genie's he's only a part-time genie. He's not even a real full-time genie. But that just remains to say, just kind of nice and timely there, Alan. Thank you for all the comments tonight and for everybody who watched us and listened to the nonsense. The ASTV EPL Fantasy Show is up next, 9 o'clock Eastern Time, which I believe is 8 p.m. Central Time, and 2:15 and 30 seconds a.m. Mountain Time, because they're weird people in that area of the country. We will have a Reckless sponsored morning coffee tomorrow morning, and then probably if you keep an eye on the Discord and all the other social medias, the Facebook and the X, formerly known as Twitter, which is the worst branding mistake ever made because everybody still says it that way, and Instagram and everything else. We'll find out what we're going to do for the game, pre and post match, etc. There should be something going on for that. But as Bickler always says, if you're one of the cool kids,
like and subscribe, smash that like button.
Or tap it nice and gently if you're on the Thursday night crew like us, because we have delicate computers that barely work half of the time. So just remains to say thank you very much to everybody. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the cup game. And thank you to Trevor and thank you to Brian. And just stay tuned in to the EPL Fantasy Show if you want to hear and get some great tips from the boys. And I am sweating from the wood stove that is right next to me, and I probably have third-degree burns on my knee, the left knee. But we will see everybody next Thursday as usual, and for the weekend stuff that's going to happen. Peace out. Here comes the 70s porn.